do feel that you are high in the clouds of the Mexican capital. I begin to fill some more time. An EU flag being flown is interesting. What? Uh, okay, there's my UI. That was weird. I appear to not have any game sound right now, too. Or do I? I don't know. Nobody going out on track, but we do have 13 drivers representing our grid. We have the Alpine of Troy. We have two Ferraris on the grid, Nitro and Kimaru. We have a Mercedes. We have a Williams. We have a Haas. All their sole team representatives. Leo, John, Random respectively, as that is, in fact, Random going out of the pits. Speak of the devil. Telemetry is not accurate, so I am going to have it off. I'll see a Red Bull coming on out. Speaking of the Red Bulls, we have two Red Bulls taking the track today. Prits and Brian. In-game Satan Fan 99. I will be referring to him here on after as Brian. We have two V-Carbs as well. Sierra and Lenny, an old school driver pairing for this series. They have been teammates, I think, as long as both were on the grid since Season 4, if not even before then. We also have another since Season 4, since I was driving anyway, driver pairing. This time, and sticking with the same team, the Aston Martin duo of Skylar and Avo. Rounding out our grid. We now zip and slide up into Sector 2 and Sector 3 here. Very nice stadium section. Depending on how much speed you can carry right on through this little kink here. That'll set you up nice for that big straight right on down into your main overtaking section. And from there, you begin your lap. Looking at the Haas on board with Random right now. By virtue of being the first driver out. Turn 1 here. Nice little flick high speed, and then you get a little chicane right on here to set you up for this back straight. You want to be on the power early. Random, maybe a little bit late on the power there. Then you go out wide, and then you hit this nice triangle. Very American circuit, actually. This little triangle section reminds me of VIR. You have a nice double apex there that you want to set on up. Get some speed as you go through the highest downforce part of the circuit. Since the straights are so big here, you're compromising a lot of your aero in order to keep top speed on that, especially start-finish straight, one of the longest to get down to turn 1. Means that you are going to have to be very careful in Sector 2. Sector 3 is a lot more focused on the mechanical grip, heavy braking zones. Then you really want to set up and get a good exit out of there. And then you cross the line of a 1:16.6 Random does. We then have two Red Bulls about to come on over. Prits leading the duo. I then see an Aston Martin, Alpine, and another Aston Martin, and there's a Ferrari. V-Carbs out there as well as Prits at the 1:18.2. Brian was unable to set his time to begin. Looking at that second Red Bull. Avo gets a 1:16.7, just a 10th of a second behind Random, as there is a yellow flag out there, but I think that it's just a car letting a car by. I've been told, too, to expect extra outlaps from some of these drivers struggling with the wear, and maybe that's what was going on with Brian here. Who appears to be going fast. It's tricky to tell. Can't quite tell right off my head. Here they go, though. Now zoom it on through these S's. Oh, that's a funky Dutch angle. As you know, go on down. The Dutch angle signifying how tilted some of these drivers get through those S's, through all the G-forces, you could say. As I now go on through, we'll see what this time is. Getting nitrous at the 123.6, so that's a double outlap strategy. A lot of double outlaps, actually, then. Skylar will be setting a hot lap time. Brian sets a 1:21.4 to set pace back there. A lot of his first season right now is going to be learning and keeping that car on track. I do see Lenny, one of our championship contenders, zipping on through. Last week at Belgium, several very strong performances out of several cars. Let me move myself over. There we go. Yes, several strong performances out of several cars that we didn't expect. I didn't quite catch the whole race. I had to go in the middle of it, but here we go. Lenny letting a driver on by. That appears to be his teammate. In fact, Sierra. Going on through. Sierra sets a provisional pole time of 1:16.5. This will surely be beat by Lenny here. Sierra even giving his teammate a nice tow to help him along. Leo's on an out lap as well. As Brian's out of the session, I think in the wall of the stadium section there. Not an ideal way to start your Grand Prix, but you gotta get your head down after that. And you just gotta go. Random on another out lap here. You can see Sierra letting him by. Our big driver right now on a hot lap is Lenny. Still yet to come on out of the pits, though, is John. Skylar was unable to set a time in his time out there in his stint. Lenny taking as much curb as he can to get a good run into the stadium section nearly. That was right at the limit of track limits as denoted by the white lines. Playing with fire for your banker lap. Lenny now cuts hard inside and sets a 1:15.9. Provisional Yao less than a second behind that. Random as well. Right on up there with a lot of these drivers. Have minutes to go in qualifying. It is only one qualifying session, not a 3-round hour. As we see Leo zipping his way through, gonna be let through by an Aston Martin. It's Leo in that Mercedes going on through. These ground effect cars, the last of the ground effect cars of this era, before we eventually transition in F125 to the 2026 cars and all the super clipping that entails as Leo, oh my goodness, 1:15.994 versus 1:15.963. 0.03 of a second separate our top two right now as Leo lets by the Aston Martin there after giving a nice healthy tow. Red Bull behind him. A couple other drivers shuffling about. Random gets a 1:16.538, an improvement there. A couple other drivers going on through. Mavi in the second Mercedes. It's now going on through. Mavi has a very strong position to be in. John, our sole Williams driver, and
entendo. A vida toda entregando bebês e agora ninguém liga mais.
É, culpa da Red Bull.
Ué, mas não é só um energético?
É, mas Red Bull te dá asas. Agora ninguém mais acredita no delivery de cegonhas.
Our reigning champion, as well, is on an outlap. About to cross and start his flying lap as our reigning champion at the Golf. That Golf Williams livery. It's a very good livery, I gotta admit that. This stream not sponsored by Golf, or Williams for that matter. You know what, if an F1 team were to sponsor some random streamer, I would take a Williams sponsorship. They just have to give me $5 as Mavis at the 116 flat. Also puts himself in contention for pole, only about a 1/10 of a second behind Lenny right now. And Avo, throughout all of this, had a 116 too. He's 3/10 off of provisional pole. What is going on? This is actually a very tight qualifying session right now. I'm amazed. It's been a while since I've seen a qualifying session this tight right now, especially missing luck. John, there we go. Manages to break ahead of Lenny with a 1:15.8, getting the first victory in the battle. The war is still going strong here. Nitro in the Ferrari, unable to do more than a 1:23.6 right now. Avo goes off into the pits. Couple of drivers on out there. We have Maru on his in lap, but he set a 1:16.8, putting him provisionally P8. Prits I saw jump up ahead of Skyler. That's a 1:17.8 from the Penguin. Troy a 1:17.3 in that Alpine, holding in the pits right now. Gonna let the track rubber in and build. Skyler down there is a 1:18 flat. That's a very... he's leaving a lot in the tank, but I think at one point he wanted to just get in that banker lap. But even still, if you discount Nitro and Brian right now, who appear to have had things go wrong in their qualifying sessions, 11 drivers, only about 2 seconds between them. And that's with Skyler being 2/10 off of P10. And if we go down to P8, it's only a second between this grid. This is a very tight grid for qualifying right now. See Mercedes coming out of the pits, as well as Random coming out of the pits right now. We're watching Prits go on into the pits. That's Leo coming out of the pits. Pretty early by his standards, but I think he wants to be in clear air. Leo's not had an ideal start to his Season 7, our Season 4 champion. Going on through. Gonna take the triangle. Set up wide on the curb there, and get the power down on this double apex, and get some nice run down there. This is just his outlap right now. Random also taking the early final lap. Nitro's on a hot lap right now, so we'll be the first to set presumably a final lap. That's Avo, also now on an outlap. Leo provisionally P3, but it's only a 1/10 of a second. The track's gonna rubber in just slightly. I wonder if Leo, if his goal is to get pole, left it too early. The other Mercedes coming out of the pits right now might be able to give him a tow, though, along the back straight there. But certainly not this one. Depending on how quickly Yet, Mobby's gonna have to get out of the way pretty quickly here. But he will give his teammate a tow. Leo then goes into the triangle here. Random's gonna be right on behind this gaggle, but Leo about to set his time. Nitro crosses the line, no improvement on his part. Yamaru's on an outlap in that Ferrari. A couple other drivers making their way on out. As Abo starts her hot lap. 2/10 of improvement from the Mercedes so far going into Sector 3, if that time is to be believed. Yellow flags in Sector 1 are not due to a car crash, it's just a car letting another car by. As Leo goes through, sets a 1:15.7, 2/10 of improvement. Strong provisional time here, but surely these other drivers have something in them. But that is the challenge now set to John and Lenny. Random sets a 1:16.5 in the Haas there. See what improvements are able to be made as Mavi begins their own flyer. Mavi the Brazilian going on through, rocketing by the Haas. Gonna cut it on in there and then make this triangle work. It is a very fun part there. Avo, meanwhile, is doing the second build lap here. I could tell from the pace. This should be their flying lap now. No, it's not. It's another build lap. I'm wondering what's happening there, but they're going to be very late to it. Mavi, though, now a long way back and charging the battery. I think something might have happened on that lap that's causing them to second guess. A couple drivers getting that one out. Maybe a whole lot of drivers doing 2 outlet. No, Mavi's feeling into the pits. I don't think they have enough time to get back out, so Mavi's time will be a 1:16 flat. Lenny's on an outlap, so is John right now. Several drivers here going to be fighting for pole position right now. I can see the Golf Williams ahead. Whole lot of drivers on out. We have Sierra out there on an outlap as well. Kimaru will be one of the first ones to go out for their flyer. But that is several drivers now making their way on down. Going to be beginning their final runs. Skyler begins his final run, the Canadian, with his teammate back there. This is going to get dicey because these are both on flying laps, but Skyler is able to let by his teammate. How much will that compromise his own run? I don't know, but Avo was able to clear his teammate. By rule, I believe if you are both on a flyer, you have the responsibility to overtake, set it yourself. You are allowed to qualify on track, essentially. And it is the driver behind that has to give space. That may come up as we go on through here. That's an Alpine letting Skyler by. Kimaru retires from the session in the pits. Couple drivers here. Sierra's out of the session now. Deciding it is done. That's P7 for the Dragon from Cornwall. A track that he is not a fan of. Hoping to at least still salvage a decent points-paying position as Avo crosses the line with 1:16.8. Not enough. 1:16.2 is where she will finish. P5 very strong right now. But we have 2 drivers coming on through right now on strong pace. John will go 1:15.3, shatters that provisional pole time set by Leo right now, and his own previous time by 5 tenths. Here comes Lenny to try to make a comeback here. It's not enough. It's a 1:15.6. And that is our grid. Set and match.
Você já conhece o Farmácia Popular do Governo do Brasil e sabe que o acesso a medicamentos essenciais é gratuito. Mas sabia que o programa também distribui absorventes? Pessoas que menstruam em situação de vulnerabilidade inscritas no CadÚnico e pessoas em situação de rua têm direito. É só retirar nas farmácias credenciadas com o app Meu SUS Digital ou na UBS mais perto. Tá tudo interligado. Saúde em dia anda lado a lado com uma vida mais digna e plena. Governo do Brasil, do lado do povo brasileiro.
Very strong pull time here from John. 1:15.3 he manages to find. Leo sets a 1:15.7 to get him about a tenth behind Lenny, his countryman. Not a fierce rivalry between these two, but a friendly rivalry between these two. It's an all-Mercedes second row. A couple other drivers. Notably, we have two retirements, Brian and Nitro. The Red Bull and the Ferrari. Well, the Ferrari did not retire. The Red Bull did in the stadium section. Not sure what quite happened. I think there was a little bit of an oopsie. Oopsie poopsie tire poppy, as we say in the business, professionally. This is a professional stream. 2 minutes to go until the Mexico City Grand Prix. And we have a couple notes to give for this track. Like all races in this season, mandatory 2 stops are in effect. For those who have not seen this series before, we run wheel and controller. While it is possible to get wheel tire wear on controller, it is a lot more difficult. It takes a lot more time to do. It takes a lot of practice to do. The thing about wheels, and direct drive wheels even from normal force feedback wheels, is that you can get the same inputs physically, but it lets you get them easier the better equipment you have. Given that this is an amateur series, we have decided, with the approval of the drivers decided, I should say, that they would rather have a mandatory 2-stop. In order to kind of even the playing field a little bit. For some of the drivers, it might not even be enough evening, though. Couple more drivers looking on through. Other notes beyond the mandatory 2-stop. I'm hearing a lot about very high tire wear. Very high tire wear here. So 2-stop might have even been a real serious strategy. Even without accounting for the fact that it's mandatory here. Expecting a lot of medium hards. I don't know if we will see anybody be brave enough to take on the softs. I could tell from how Ava was driving and qualifying that they're pretty much locked into a medium hard or a medium hard. A couple other notes. DRS enabled lap 2. In case you forgot, with all the talk of super clipping and overtake mode, this is the 2025 regulations. We have our good old DRS rather than our active arrow. Well, DRS is active arrow if I am being a pedant about it, but we have DRS instead of overtake mode, so we do overtake mode through the wing. Like a good old-fashioned series. You can adjust your energy output as well. No super clipping. So there might still be some dangerous speed differentials. if you do run into that, that is a matter of pace, an amateur series. FRL being an amateur series of buzz butts going on through, driving, having a good time, yelling at tracks, complaining about the tire wear. There's a lot of complaining about tire wear, which I suppose is the most F1 thing to do, as we are going on to the formation lap right now. After a strong qualifying performance, John takes pole position by a wide margin. Lenny rounds out the front row, barely beating out his countryman to lead off the all-second row, the all-Mercedes second row of Leo leading Mavi. Avo to lead Aston Martin, having an incredibly strong qualifying session by her standards right now, up into P5, and frankly not that far off of what ended up being pole position, and was right in there. We have Random in P6 behind her. Row 4 sees our second V-car, Sierra, lining up P7, and Kimaru P8 to the lead Ferrari. Sole out P today is Troy to lead off the 5th row of the grid. Rounding out our provisional points, Grid S. Second Aston Martin down there in P11, that's Skylar taking the first start of row 6. Second Red Bull of Brian behind him. The Aussie look at the whoa, wait a minute. Little too much tire warming there, bud. And row 7 is one Ferrari Nitro. Looking at the grid, nobody dared take on the soft tires. As we are letting the formation lap roll on in, I'm going to close my door real quick. We will let the grid warm on up. Beautiful look at our pole position driver, John, the Puerto Rican, ready to get things off on the long run down to turn 1. He's starting on the hard, so are both Mercedes, so Lenny has a real shot to get turn 1 down in 5 lights time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. FRL is away in Mexico City, and that looks like a good launch for both of our front row drivers, but Lenny gets the pace right off the bat. John's gonna have to settle in behind. That's the Aston Martin going very much wide outside. Holding P5 right now. That's a Haas looking to the inside of him right now. Looking on back. The Alpine there of Troy getting on up. As Avo manages to hold P5, Kimaro gets at the P7, Sierra's tumbling down to P9, Skylar's up at the P10, Brian at the P11 as Prida seems to have had gone off, but it looks like this grid going on down, a lot of changes up and down, the Alpine going on wide through this triangle here, that's going to invite, it looks like that's Sierra into Troy, Sierra going to be looking to maybe make a move here. Lenny getting 7 tenths ahead. He needs to get a full second if he wants the medium start to really work. Else this race is going to start to come on down to our hard tire runners here. That's Skylar looking to get a run on Sierra in the S's right now. They're side by side into Sector 3. Skylar just did not have the traction. Sierra had the inside line, and there's a yellow flag behind as that's Nitro down there. Brian's going to be holding P11 right now. So that's 2 drivers now falling off at the pack here. Pack started to string out at the front as well. That's John holding. Lenny's gonna have a hard time holding this lead right now. Leo, meanwhile, catching on up to this pack here, looking at this helicopter shot as we go on through the first chicane. Left, right, left. Or right, left, right, I should say. Whole lot of drivers now going on through the 2 Mercedes here as they were. See, we're down to the P9. Skylar may have a chance. And then we have John in that Williams right there, but Lenny's starting to maybe pull out a little bit of a gap. He needs to break DRS very quickly. John also needs to break DRS. There's a yellow flag back there. That's Brian. It seems to have gone off a little bit in the triangle. So far, so good here, as it looks like Skylar's going into the... gonna have a chance at Sierra here, but Sierra likes to run low wings. And there's another yellow flag, as that's, I think, Prix? No, it's Brian. Brian out into the stadium section. There's no front wing on that Red Bull. He's gonna have to pit on in on this track. You need as much downforce as you can get here. We'll see the Red Bull crew coming on in. Meanwhile, John managing to get the DRS pass on Lenny. You get double DRS here to solidify your moves right now, but these two fighting is going to actually work to Mercedes' benefit a little bit here. And then there's Avo back there, managing to keep it within DRS. Well, did manage to keep it in DRS for a little bit. That's going to help him start to string out a gap to random. But so far, John, Lenny, and then Leo, Mavi, Avo. Lenny in the bright pink carb right now. Two Mercedes behind him. The question is he going to be looking forward to maybe retake this lead here, or is he going to be looking back to defend against the two Mercedes, who do have the option to play team games here, if they so wish? But that'll depend on how the race evolves. Leo searching for a win here in Season 7. Lenny searching for a win too. Another one. John searching to add another win to his total. Maybe become back-to-back champions here. A lot of these drivers going on through. Brian theoretically could do now hards here, and then see how that plays out. A lot of these drivers are still going to have to hit. And I think a lot of these drivers do prefer the hard tire. Still 32 laps to go. Long race here, as much as it was chaotic for a little bit. We are going to be settling into what's shaping up to be a four-way fight for the win here. John managing to break DRS, but it's going to be very close. Does Lenny have it? He does not. Lenny does not have DRS. This is going to invite Leo right on in. That is huge for John right there. That buys him basically a lap where he can breathe right now. And it's double DRS. Lenny and... Leo and Mavi gonna be able to put some pressure on Lenny as they seek to punch up into a double Mercedes podium. Yellow flags for the Ferrari back there. As it looks like... Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Looks like there was a thin out on that pink. Maybe just a little bit too much power, causing your wheels to break their traction. Random and Kimara also in a close fight, 9. Here we go. Leo crawling on into the stadium section. Gonna be right on Lenny's gearbox. Lenny is not gonna have DRS to defend once again. Leo looks like he might be a little bit closer this time. A little bit more sure. We'll see what the Mercedes pair is able to do here. But Lenny does not have DRS to defend. You can tell, though, that he has a lower downforce setup. Even without DRS, he's closing in on that straight. So Lenny's going to be hard to pass. He will have a top speed advantage, it looks like, compared to the Mercs. But the DRS is going to help. The pits are going to help. Zero goes into the pits, actually, to just pit early onto hards. Here we go. Looking on through. That's Leo. Gonna be looking to maybe get some pressure here as we go on through the S's. Elsewhere down the grid, Skylar's up to P8. Troy up. Troy managing to find himself in P9. Pridas P10 as Sierra pits. Two drivers have pit so far. Sierra, Brian. They both pit. Brian may have a chance to get at Nitro here in a little bit as well, depending on how their pace shapes up in the back. No DNFs so far, though, despite a couple of crashes here. Lenny now going defensive as they go on down the straight. Leo's close enough, but he will have DRS here. He gets alongside to the inside. That's a DRS pass. Lenny died at his hardest to get on by, but without a straight line speed advantage gone, Leo should be able to pull away here in the corners. The double DRS means Lenny will not have a chance to fight back. Mavi will even have a go right now, looking to the inside. Not quite. Yeah, not quite there. Lenny gonna hold the inside. Will Mavi go for the switchback here? No. Now we're going to enter Sector 2 here, and that is where that Mercedes is going to draw out the gap. Potentially. I say that, there's a little bit of a fall off here, and then there's a small DRS zone here Lenny manages to get to help close into the stadium section, but Leo will have a chance to get right on through that stadium section. String it out. Yeah, there he goes. Lenny's just not going to have the DRS now, and this should make him a sitting duck for Mavi. We'll see what the body language of the cars say. Lenny not going defensive right now. Not going to make much of a fuss there. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2 for, is that Pridas? That's Pridas in the grass. Hugging the wall. That's going to be 2 positions lost. It's going to bring Sierra back into the points right now. John, meanwhile, for all his fighting, has managed to get nearly a 2-second gap in the lead in that Gulf Williams. Brian, meanwhile, gets past Nitro in that Ferrari. That Ferrari looking like a tractor back there. Several drivers going on through. Avo pit. Already? Something happened while I wasn't looking, because Avo is on new hard tires. I think Avo started on medium tires, so this might just be when the medium tire runners want to pit anyway. Interesting calls here, though, coming on up. This should be able to give him some space to random. Especially, I think the Haas has to pit now. Or else risk just not even being able to fight. It takes away the undercut option from the Haas. It is a very long pit straight. Haas choosing to stay out. Further up ahead, Leo has managed to get back into John's DRS. These two used to be teammates here in the Silver Arrows, but now, different liveries, different cars. No longer teammates as Leo's gone by. That's a 3-second time penalty to Brian. Track limits violations, as it looks like the second Red Bull is going to get blue flagged here momentarily. Brian may have gone off track to let by some of these cars. This will give John a little bit of DRS to defend as... Oh, they're side by side! Leo goes wide! Curtis, I don't know if he handled that blue flag quite correctly, but it wasn't egregious. They did get through in the end, so I think it's okay. Lenny's going to be going into the pits right now. Lenny's on a different tire strategy. I don't think this is going to prompt any pitting up ahead here. Lenny pits onto another set of medium tire. Interesting. Skylar manages to get by random as he pits. It's going to invite Avo to get on by here very quickly. Looks like the Aston Martin's in a pretty chill race, all things considered here. Skylar now up at the P4 can actually do some shenanigans with Lenny if he really wants to.
Caramelo, pega lá meu chinelo. Caramelo, meu chinelo. Ai, cachorro tonto.
E o tonto sou eu.
Red Bull te dá asas.
The Aston Martins have done some team games before. If Skylar's looking to potentially give Avo a chance at P4, he can hold up Lenny here. We'll see if Lenny's going to be able to get past this Aston Martin. This is going to be crucial for Lenny's race. If he gets behind the Aston Martin, suddenly he's looking back to Avo rather than forward. As this race develops, he's going to have to pit again pretty early. The Ferrari having to get out of the way here. I think that is Nitro. Indeed it is Nitro. Lenny catching Skylar in the stadium section. Losing a couple temps. Losing about 5 temps. I think Skylar... I don't know if Skylar's just driving normally and that's like... he's just struggling for tire grip. Or if there was a little bit of a cheeky lift. I'm going to choose, without any concrete evidence, the interpretation that there was a little bit of a cheeky lift there that brought down about a second to Avo. And I can tell you in that voice call right now, Avo's going, yeah, no, you should have held him up more. Should have held him up more. In about that kind of a voice as the Corvid goes on through. Gonna have some DRS getting on by the back marker. Getting by back markers is part of the deal, especially, so I don't think losing a little bit of a time to the Pridas here is going to be that big of an incident for the Mercedes here. Just part of the game sometimes. Going on through. These two Mercedes can do a lot. All 3 of these drivers going on through. Lenny's not going to be able to really put much of a dent into here. Mavi, I should say. He's not going to be able to find out a dent here. Honestly, if I were Mavi, I would try to stretch this out. You can't do a one-stop, but at the very least, if you're stretching it out, you can potentially still get a podium here. But if you want to punch up, you're going to have to go a little bit differently than what John and Leo are doing. John and Leo are going to be in their own race. Lenny's starting to eat in. There is an argument to actually pit Mavi here, if you're at a Mercedes pit wall. That's another 3-second time penalty for Brian. Not sure what is going on back there. And there's another yellow flag for Nitro. And a yellow flag as Brian lets by, it looks like Sierra. Sierra's managed to get himself back up to P8 after pit stops have come on through. But so far we have 4 drivers yet to pit. I believe. We have John, Leo, Mavi, Skylar. All of them extending their stints here on these hard tires. These hard tires have to feel good. Sierra gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits violations. Meanwhile, A whole lot of those, I have a feeling, are going to be handed out by the time this race is done. We are, believe it or not even halfway through this race. And a lot has already happened, and there is a strategic picture unfolding here right now. As I speak. Lenny is on a very different strategy at this point. Medium. That's gonna be John peeling off into the pits, and Mavi. So it's gonna be a Mercedes versus Williams pit crew battle here. They are close enough where the times can matter. The Mercedes crew does well, so does the Williams crew. And they manage to go back out in order. Frame skips be otherwise. That's going to be Lenny ahead of them, but Lenny is on a very different strategy, so whether this holds as a net lead is doubtful. But Lenny could throw a spanner into this race. Still. As Leo is probably pitting this lap if I had to take a guess. You don't want to get undercut now by your own teammate and give up even a larger lead to John here. We should see that Mercedes coming on in, but John is starting to get up to Lenny there. Not quite. There's a yellow flag over. I believe that is just a car letting others by. Yellow flags come out whenever you step on out and let somebody by on track. As they should, probably. Because there is a slower car there. And there we go. Leo manages, the Mercedes crew managing to get those tires on. Lenny's gonna get by, I see. And then it is John and Mavi both getting ahead. Mavi did manage to undercut his teammate, and oh my goodness, that's a 3-second gap. That is an undercut if I've seen one right there. That went from... They were nose to tail, effectively, in the Mercedes, to... Essentially now Leo is 2.5 seconds back. There is an argument that they might reverse the order at some point if they are unable to put pressure on, but well, do you reverse the order? I don't think so. I don't think you're in too much of a championship fight. Well, Mavi is still a championship contender, I believe. Technically, they're all championship contenders if you ask. If you go by the definition of championship contender, but Mavi is a race-winning driver. He'll pace to be a race-winning driver. We'll see what they decide to do. It's up to them. I sometimes act like, yeah, it's up to the Mercedes pit wall. No, it's up to them. The Mercedes pit wall is in fact just Mavi and Leo. They could just choose to race it out. Fair is fair. And say, oh my goodness, as Mavi actually manages to fight John side by side. Prix and the Red Bull there, getting in the way of John. This is actually really good if you're Mavi right now. John had to take a slightly compromised line here into the triangle section there. Going on through. The boot. Now they're going on through. Into the S's. The second sector, here we go. Mavi's gonna actually have a chance to get at Lenny here. Now Lenny's gonna go. He's taking as much of the track as he can. That's a quali line right on there. Nothing being saved. No margin being saved right now. Blue flags coming on up, I believe, for Prix. Leo is now stuck behind that Red Bull. And that's another Oh dear, you do not want to be that if you are Leo. You do not want to see that. Mavi manages to get him by Lenny. Straightforward DRS pass. I think we saw it coming there. And Mavi leads the Mexican Grand Prix. I did not see that one coming on lap 1, but here we go right now. After an undercut of his teammate. And now John unable to get by Lenny. That's Mavi's advantage right now. Lenny is holding up John here, because Lenny is just trying to hold on to as much track position as he can. They're gonna be going through the S's nose to tail. You can pass here if you're brave, but John's not brave or desperate enough to make that work. There's still another stint to work out here. And now they're gonna go into the stadium section. This is just working to Mavi's advantage. He's already got about 2 seconds here right now. He and John are on equal tires. Incredibly, Lenny has put Mavi into a pretty strong position to win this Grand Prix. Everybody but him is on the hard tire right now. Further down, Skylar did pit. He's holding P10 right now, the last of the point-bank position. Leo's gonna be looking to get at Lenny now. He knows he needs to hurry up. He does not want to have what happened to John happen to him, because Leo just saw what happened to John. John was about 2 seconds up the road, and now John's right here. As Lenny's tires are falling away. Yeah, Leo gets on by, and John's, I think, going to be very upset at this. Nothing's wrong, but I can feel that's one of those situations where it is frustrating as a driver. You are behind somebody who has less tire grip. You go through the S's, which are grip dependent, and you're just stuck at their pace. As tires wear less grip, less pace. Like, the lap times are seconds down. We saw Leo was able to get about a second on John, thereabouts. Just because John was held up on the inferior rubber. But Mavi now is... John just put the pace down. Burnt that battery. He's not gonna have DRS here. So he's not gonna have the double DRS, but John's looking to get right on back and fight. But right now, race update, it is Mavi, John, Leo. Lenny down in 4th on a different strategy to most of the grid. We then have Avo in 5th. Sierra is up in 6th right now. We have Kimaru in 7th. Random in 8th. Troy in 9th. Skylar in 10th. Curtis in 11th. Brian 12th. And Nitro last. With our current runners. Interestingly, too, as we go on through, John's gonna be able... He should have DRS here. Unless, like, Mavi puts his foot down. Oh my goodness. No, John's gonna have DRS here. They're both burning battery to play this DRS game. Leo's 2 seconds behind these two. But interestingly, from Lenny's perspective here, after all of that fighting he had to do right now, that's Brian in the pits. After all of that fighting he had to do, he's actually in undercut range of Avo. It usually around 20 seconds in a green flag pit stop. If he pits now, he's gonna end up behind Avo. Or at the very least fighting him on pit exit. He needs to get out the pit gap if he wants to be able to even have a remote chance of winning with the alternate strategy here. You know, John has managed to close it up. John's going to be fighting for this win right now. If you're Mavi, I think you just do your best to hold John up here in the stadium section. He's going to have DRS going down that long straight. Oh, but he's wide. Oh, but he's wide. We'll see. I don't think that's leaving track gaining an advantage. He is just wide, though. You can argue whatever. If it happens, it happens. Mavi doing the big weaves down the straight, going defensive, then pushing out wide. Maybe a little too much weaving, but it's borderline. He's going defensive. He needs to be defensive here. As John is in that Williams. The Williams hasn't looked this pacey since Damon Hill and Jack Villeneuve, but here we go. There's that Brian with another 3-second time penalty for track limit violations. It is not the Red Bull's day. Ciro now in the pits. Lenny also did pit, I should add. And Avo is actually right there. Lenny managing to do just enough to get the pit delta out. Avo does not have DRS, and the tire advantage is going to be enough, so Lenny is going to still be in this fight. On hard tires. Both Mercedes do need to go onto a different tire compound by the end of this. There's an Alpine in there. But yeah, both Mercedes do need to go onto a different compound. John has to go onto a different compound. Avo, I believe, has to go onto a different compound. No, I think they were already on the mediums to start. Here we go, though. John managing to try to get by Mavi in turn 1. They were right together. Mavi is a little bit of an exit, but the double DRS is going to help a little bit too much right now. Is John now going to go defensive? Makes that Williams wide. Mavi still has pace in that Mercedes. The more back and forth they are, the more this is going to bring Leo into this fight once again. Leo does have a lap extra. On a track like this, that lap extra might even be enough to be slightly different, but honestly, if I'm Leo here, I am going to look to do something different. Avo pits onto a second set of hard tires, so yeah, Avo's going to be good to go to the end. Lenny is going to be good to go to the end here. There is going to be a lot of tire wear between those two, though. We'll see where Avo ends up. Avo ends up well ahead of Sierra. Actually, within the DRS of his teammate. There's an Alpine in the pits. Troy going on to fresh hards. He should be good to the end. Looking back up front, we have John and Mavi once again fighting. Leo is going to be brought into this picture, though. Yellow flags in Sector 3 for Nitro, it looks like. As, oh boy, Mavi looking outside. John had to go defensive. Mavi maybe looking to pull off a switchback, but the way that turn goes, you can't really do the switchback. For those unaware, the switchback is the move where whenever somebody outbrakes themselves hard, you essentially let them by on the inside, you brake a little earlier, take a later apex, you brake straighter to take a later apex than them, get the top speed on down, and because they took an early apex by braking so late, you were able to get them back on the corner exit. Hence, switchback. Mavi looking. I did want to explain that because I know there are people who are only casually into motorsports that watch this sometimes, support their friends up and down the grid. John currently leading the Mexican Grand Prix here. Mavi P2 after leading for a couple laps, then falling prey to John in that Gulf Williams. Mavi will have DRS here. With Leo in third. He was undercut by both John and his teammate, effectively. Not technically undercut by John, but That's why he is so far back, I should say. We have Lenny in 4th, who is on an alternate strategy to the top 3 right now. We have Kimaru in 5th on 15-lap-old hard tires. So that is going to result in a drop. We have Random in 6th. Avo's actually got the back of that Haas, so... Avo at this point has a pretty solid P5. They just gotta watch the tires in terms of net. Sierra is good to go to the end as well. We might be able to put pressure on Avo, but we will see if that comes to blows. But Sierra has the worst tire wear and a time penalty. Avo just has to take care of the tires, and she should be good to go. Sierra P9, Troy P10, Perdes P11, Brian P12 back there, Nitro in 13th. Whole lot of Grand Prix still left to go. 12 laps actually. Go. And still a couple pit stops left to sort out. Lenny is not out of this fight right now. We saw how fast mediums wore down. These 3 are going to have to pit onto mediums. If I'm Leo, I think I'm going to aim to pit lap 30 and just try to keep soft mediums as long as I can. That's what I would do if I were him. He might even choose to pit like lap 29 or something, or just the lap after his teammate. But you want the offset at this point. Knowing it's a high wear circuit, knowing what is going on here, there's a lot of chaos going on back there. As Avo manages to fight Kimaru up in the 5th. Kimaru on the old tires there. Avo's back up to 5th before even the pit stops sort themselves out, but looks like that's where her race will settle. Kimaru down at 6th, Random's back there. Those two still at the pit. Kimaru's on 17-lap-old hard tires at this point. My goodness, that is an insane stint in the Ferrari right there. Probably a little too long. Are they just gonna try to bolt softs on and just go for broke? I would not be surprised right now at this point. We do have Sierra on the back of this pack right here. The quicker he can get on by these, the quicker he can start to put some pressure on Avo, and Avo's not used to running this high. They've been on a really good stroke of form, as that is a yellow flag Ferrari. That Ferrari is... Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I think Skylar had to take evasive action right there. That was a Ferrari backing up onto the circuit. Safety car. The safety car is out right now. And that is going to throw a wrench into the top 3. If you're Kimaru, this is the best news. If you're Sierra, you are probably swearing right now. Yeah, John, Matthew both coming on in. We should see Leo in as well, so the Mercedes going to be double stacking here. We should see Lenny come in as well. It's going to be a straight shootout more than anything else right now. Medium tires being fit on fresh mediums. Oh! I nearly thought that the Mercedes was about to jump them in the pits. But what we saw there was a Ferrari backing up into an Aston Martin and causing a safety car. I don't know what was going on there, but there we go. It's a full safety car, so it's going to be about 6 laps of a shootout after this. Lenny's bolting on. No, that makes sense. He used his 2 medium tires. Lenny could only bolt on the soft tires. He's gonna have a good launch, but then those tires are gonna fall away. We'll see. Avo's staying out? Avo's staying out. That's brave. That's a brave strategy from the Aston Martin, but to be fair, it's only 5-lap old hards. There's gonna be some extra wear. There's gonna be a Sierra behind as well to give some extra cover, and a Troy from the fresh runner. So Kimaru's gonna be the fresh runner there. Couple drivers choosing to stay on their tires. It's mainly the ones that are in the first part of their hard tire stint. Maru bolted on hards. I think he had to. You're like, essentially Lenny's only bolted on the soft tires because he has no other tire and he wanted the tire change. He used both of his medium tires here. This is actually, I think, very bad for Lenny. In fact, the worst timing for Lenny. If it was like 2 laps later, I think that safety car would have been fine, if not perfect, for the V car. But right now, it just means that he's going to be on a tire that will be dead by the end of the race. I think if you're Avo, if you're Avo, Sierra, and Troy, you want this safety car to last as long as humanly possible. Essentially. You want to give the drivers behind as little time as possible. If you're Lenny, you want this to be as long as possible, just to give you more laps on those soft tires. Those soft tires will be dead by the end. There's going to be a lap car in the mix. Lap car should get the wave around. This isn't going to be any Michael Massey moments. No, only the lap cars between the 2 cars that are fighting for the championship go around. No, how dare you ruin the race of the people that are not the champion for the sake of not being the champion. Other thing of note here that this hurts, Sierra and Troy, they have penalties. Avo, there are also actually a bunch of penalties down. Really, the only driver under that Avo is really under threat from here is Kimaru, who is on fresh hards. It'll be a long run down to turn 1. Avo should be able to keep up with the pack here at least a little bit. Looking further on back, looking up front. John is in a very strong position. He has control. Leo, who is usually the faster of the 2 Mercedes, has a Mavi between him and John. So if you're John, your calculus is, okay, just get the start right, and I should have this. If you're Lenny, you are gunning it, trying to overtake everybody immediately, and then praying. Further on down, if you're Pritass, I don't know, you're hoping for a crash. To be kind of blunt. I don't see a world where Skyler loses that point unless he crashes or makes a huge mistake. Safety car in this lap. So actually, good. This is gonna be even... Wait, so the lap cars are not getting waved around. So, wait, hold. So Pritass is... Oh, goodness. Pritass is just gonna have to get right out of the way. I thought lap cars got the wave around. I guess they don't. As here we go, FRL is gonna be away. Now FRL's away in Mexico once again after the... yellow flag still out, apparently. According to my thing. Green flag now. There's a Haas slowing them down. That's random. Gotta get caught up in all this chaos here as we go on through turn 1. That's Mavi getting a little bit alongside, but not enough. There is no DRS on this first lap right now, but Mavi is very close. Lenny did not get the launch that he wanted. Those 3-lap hold off. Mavi pulls off to the outside. That's Mavi taking the lead. John looks to maybe get the switch back here. John gonna be looking on the outside, but Mavi takes a little bit of a punch, and that's going to invite Leo now to get into this action right now. Leo not able to do much about it, but this is perfect for Mavi, because now Leo, who is able to challenge John on raw pace, is here. Lenny's also back there, but starting to fall away a little bit. The yellow flag's notification has finally gone away. Avo still has Sierra behind him. Kamaru did not get the best launch off of the line there. He did manage to get by Troy, but he's not really in a position to fight either Sierra or Avo right now. If you're Avo, you're not going to be fighting Sierra too hard. You still want to fight, but like Sierra has a time penalty. Just keep that in mind. Mavi gets the fastest lap here. But yeah, he's going to be going hard defensive. He's going to look to his teammate for assistance here. ERS is back on. And it will be back on once we get into Sector 2 right now. It does not count the lap that it is activated here for the main straight. Skylar managed to get by random further on back right now. There's actually some chaos going on back there, I can tell. Skylar managed to get on through now. Aston Martin. There's that Alpine right there. Troy falling on down to P10, holding that last points-paying position. But because of the way that the blue flags worked, that's going to be Prits and Brian just not able to really get into a fight here. Looking further ahead, it is John looking to get by to Mavi. Leo got some pace out there. Prits has a 3-second time penalty for track limit violations, but right now we are in a lap shootout. It's gonna be 4 to go once we cross the line here. Wait. Yeah, 5 to go, actually. 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. 5 to go in Mexico. Mavi goes defensive. Just desperately trying to break that toe. Desperately trying to invite his teammate to put that pressure on John. Desperately trying to hold on to this win. I think Lenny's tires are starting to fall away. The gamble's not paying off there. Sierra manages to fight Avo. Meanwhile, they're side by side going off into turn 1. This is inviting Kamaru in on the fun. Avo does not have DRS right now, and it looks like Sierra and Kamaru both get by the Aston Martin here. Just the fresh tires in that Ferrari are helping out so much. John's, meanwhile, on the gearbox. Further up the grid, he is on the gearbox for the lead right now. They are in line astern right now. I bet that bird is going to be ruining Sierra a little bit here. Sierra has a time penalty, but Sierra's just going to be fighting for as much as he can on track. But that just gives Kamaru the chance to eke out a gap and solidify his position. Kamaru also has done desperate moves before too. We'll see if there was anything that happened there, because I am paying obviously a lot of camera attention here. There's another yellow flag back there for the Ferrari. That's Nitro. Nitro who's tractoring onto the track, we should say. Reversing onto the track, brought out the safety car in the first place. Kamaru and Sierra fighting is just going to bring Avo right on back into this. Meanwhile, John's right there on Mavi. There are two very close fights here that I need to watch at the same time. Sierra manages to get on by Mavi. Avo's going to be looking to pick up the scraps here. Further ahead, John right onto that gearbox of the Brazilian, but the Brazilian's fighting like, well, a Brazilian in Africa.
Não entendo. A vida toda entregando bebês e agora ninguém liga mais.
É, culpa da Red Bull.
Ué, mas não é só um energético?
É, mas Red Bull te dá asas. Agora ninguém mais acredita no delivery de cegonhas.
One. Here we go. Puerto Rican, our champion, looking to show why he is the current champion right now. To get this win from the jaws of defeat here. 5 temps, 3 temps. They are very close. Mavi is going to immediately have to break that toe, and he does his move again. John has seen this lap after lap. He's going to have a strategy here. He's trying to make that Mercedes as wide as he can. John not able to get a move done in the turn 1. Oh, you could see John's a little bit more confident on the throttle there. That's going to get him a good exit here. He should have a chance. Mavi's not going defensive, but there's a squeeze right on there. But John manages to find the inside line. He's going to have the inside here. Double Apex is going to be up ahead here. Mavi putting as much of a squeeze as he can, but John also pushes to the outside. They are side by side into the S's. No, John takes the lead. Avo has a 3-second time penalty. Falls behind his teammate. And it's come undone for the Raven back there. Here they go, though, now through the stadium section. That safety car was just late enough. It was too early for softs, but too late for mediums, or most drivers just did not have a spare set of mediums to really bolt on here, as there is a yellow flag for Muffy. Oh no. Oh, he pushed so hard, but now that's 2 drivers right on by, and that's the podium gone for the Brazilian. A well-fought race, though I cannot say otherwise. Avo manages to get on by Skylar. Maru can just hold behind Sira at this point, 2 to go. A lot of time penalties here being dished out. I think Sierra has at least corrected 6. Yep. So I'm just gonna have the penalties up for the sake of watching. 18 for Brian. Oh my goodness. That's John gonna be going on through. John leading into the stadium section, but Leo will have DRS. Lenny is also still in this, despite the soft tires. And that's random falling, getting ahead of Skylar. There's another yellow flag back there, and that's Skylar, who appears to have gone off the track, as that safety car period has sent the Aston Martin race out of here, as that's Leo looking to the inside of his former teammate, right in the turn 1 of the last lap of the Mexican Grand Prix. Leo now gonna have traction and a run down in the turn 4? Yeah, it's 4, I think. Leo does have the line, but not enough traction. John had a better exit. And now they're going to be line astern going into the S's right now, but John has a little bit of a snap. This is going to let Leo put on pressure here. He will have one more chance into the stadium section, but Lenny's also here. Lenny's going to be looking to steal second place right back from his red. Here they go. Line astern once again. Nose to tail into the stadium section. Nobody makes a move here. And it's going to be a drag race now on exits of the final turn. But John goes around the final turn for the final time. It's a very quick start-finish line. John wins in Mexico City. Leo 2nd, Lenny 3rd. Mavi had a well-run race. One mistake at the end sends it to 4th. Sierra manages to hold 5th on track. But it's going to tumble on down. Avo actually only able to get up to 7th there, once all is said and done after the time penalty. But that's our race. Checkered flag is out. Random P8, Troy P9, Skylar P10. Well done to our drivers here. Nitro now limping that Ferrari home. When I say limping, I mean limping. Oh my goodness, it has no front wing. That is our race. 25 points given to John. Well done for the Puerto Rican. Well done for actually honestly our top 4. Could have gone to any of them really. Lenny tried a different strategy. The safety car timing I don't think worked out for him, but he nearly made it work anyway. Leo nearly had it at the end. I think if he hit first, held that track position, this would be a lot different of a race. Mavi tragically fell just short of the podium after a little bit of a snap. And then Ava, who is running very comfortably in P5, he told me before the race, actually, that the thing that he did not want to happen was a safety car. But he had planned safety cars. He still secures 6 points for the Aston Martin team, but without that safety car, that probably would have been a 5th place finish for the Brit. Zero in P6. Managed to get a P6 out of a track that he does not really enjoy. Brandon P8. Troy P9. Skyler rounds out the points. We have another race coming up next weekend. Or we do not have another break coming up for a little bit. My voice is cracking hard. That was a lot. A lot.